What's up, guys? Back with another video. Happy Monday. We just got done with the Pokemon outlet in Lee over the weekend. Um, Pretty good this time. Sunday was slower than normal, but I had a feeling that was possible because of the holidays coming up and everything. So it was still good though. Did some cool deals. Picked up some Japanese fossil and jungle packs. Traded for a nice crispy Chilling Reign booster box and traded for a Mewtwo Gold Star Japanese PSA 1. So I got some cool stuff. I got a big vintage lot on Sunday in trade. So it was still a good weekend. And Saturday, my binders got absolutely tore up. Just a lot less foot traffic on Sunday, which not surprising. And we will be back at the Pokemon outlet January 17th and 18th, I believe. And but before that, first show of 2026 is going to be hard hitting card shows at Foxwoods Casino, and that is January 10th and 11th. That's supposed to be 325 tables, and I think it's going to be crazy. I think hopefully that show is going to be one of the big shows going into the future, as some of the, I don't know, as we talk about sometimes, there will be shows that don't stick around, but I think that one will be hopefully one of the ones that sticks around, as well as the Pokemon outlet, just because that's really Berkshire County's only card show. So I think that one will be successful, although this weekend, a little slow. That's all right. Anyway, today was going to talk a little bit about the slowdown in the market. Is the market crashing? And what's in store for 2026? Because it's right around the corner. New Year's is next week. Christmas is this week. New Year's next week. 2026 coming quick. So I continue to notice some concern from customers at the shows, and I think under other vendors too, that seem like they are concerned about the trajectory of the market. Not sure if we are in for an impending crash in the market. I myself am not super worried about it, but also thinking about how to position myself so that if there is significant drawback in the market or even just stagnation, what my strategy is for that, because we should all be, whether you're a collector hoping to like protect what you've invested in your collection, or especially if you're a vendor trying to, make vending long term something you can do, you should have contingency strategies set up in case the market doesn't go the way that you hope it does. The past couple of years, and especially I would say, people that either got in during the COVID boom or got in during this current boom, they're just kind of used to everything always going up. And, something might go up, and then some other era or sets, like we've had the tag team boom, the mega boom, the vintage boom, the mid-era boom, the e-reader boom. You know, they don't all happen at the same time. But you know, it for the most part over the last 2 years, it's kind of like just been a foolproof plan to buy stuff, sit on it for a few months, watch the numbers go up, and profit. So, and especially like for, you know, the scalpers or the retail flippers, however you want to characterize that, there's just been a lot of really easy money in the space for the last couple of years. And people should really wrap their head around the fact, the unavoidable reality that that's not always how it is. And not only is that not always how it is, but that's actually the outlier. And most often, that is not how it is. Even in a space like Pokemon or collectibles in general, which do, in some cases, perform very well over time as like investments, you know, doubling your money inside of half a year is not typically how things work in any market, in any investment category, in not in stocks, not in bonds, not in gold and silver, not, for the most part, even in Bitcoin, which has the highest returns of any asset class over the last, 5 to 10 years. I pick either one, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, when you're going through a period like right now, and, you know, there's been drawbacks and price corrections and, you know, in some cases, crashes, people should understand that, like, that's part of what happens in markets. And if you're not setting yourself up to be able to not only deal with those setbacks, those drawbacks in price, the price corrections, all of it, or crashes, you won't be here long term. You just won't, you know? I mean, it's inevitable that there's going to be drawbacks. It's inevitable that there's going to be price corrections and occasionally crashes too, you know? And you should really be thinking about how you're going to weather those storms, because if you can't weather those storms, then you'll be out of here in the next year or two, almost guaranteed. I mean, unless you're just a casual collector and you don't really care about the value of things, then, I mean, it doesn't matter in that case, which, good for you. Collectors win long term because they're not paying attention to values, not freaking out when things go down and fire selling and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's something I've been mulling over and trying to figure out what my strategies are. And I think really is just like kind of covering your bases, you know, like you don't want to be caught holding the bag when the ball drops on it. And whether that's like upping your cash reserves or you know, putting your inventory into things that you think are going to be more stable long term. You know, all of those are pretty much all you can do. I mean, unless you're going to get out of the hobby. And those are kind of the strategies that I've been looking at. People coming to my table trying to sell modern cards. I'm not really buying modern cards at all. I'll take them in trade still because, trading at 80% is one of the ways you can insulate yourself from bad choices in a market like this where it's very volatile and you don't really know, is the next price correction up or down? Because typically the market tends to trend together. So it's like if you're trading at 80% over time, the more time you rinse and repeat those trades, the better off you will be on average. You'll have mistakes, you'll make errors, and that's part of it. That's part of the hobby, that's part of investing, that's part of vending, all of it. But on average, if you're trading at 80%, the more times you flip through that, the better off you'll be. But yeah, I'm not buying any modern cards. I am buying a lot of vintage. I am selectively buying slabs when I feel like something is undervalued, which, 2 months ago or 2 to 3 months ago, we had the really big spike in, PSA 10 slabs, PSA slabs in general, especially for modern stuff. But I mean, vintage has been steady still, I think. There's been a little drawback in vintage, but not nearly as much as modern. But yeah, some of the modern stuff I think is at decent levels where I'm not like super scared of it. Not I don't know. I think you could still get hurt messing with modern slabs, especially some of the high pop stuff, because there is some stuff where it's like really high population. But I think in general, slabs are kind of in a cooling off phase right now, and that kind of makes sense. The whole market being in a cooling off phase right now makes a lot of sense because of the time of year. People are in liquidation mode. People have presents to pay for, and not every kid gives any care about like a PSA slab. Like, kids like to open stuff and they like binder cards, and so a lot of people liquidating to buy presents, pay for vacations. It's a tough time of year financially for people, so it's liquidation season going into the holidays. And so if you've been around a few years, this is a cycle that repeats. So I think there are a lot of buying opportunities in this market right now. I think you should be selective, especially when it comes to slabs. And you should diversify. I would not be, if I had all the cash right now, I would be picking up stuff, but I would not be leaning heavily into, say, modern cards, Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield. I would not be leaning heavily into that. I think there are definitely opportunities there, but I would be diversifying. Buying some of the, which ones are the absolute blue chip best modern slabs, which ones of those have drawn back in price the most. That's what I'd be targeting. And then looking at vintage, you could sort of follow the same strategy, but vintage has not drawn back nearly as much. And so you could target some of the stuff that's drawn back the most, but you could also be targeting stuff that never experienced the same level of boom as other things. For instance, in my opinion, like the level X's, the EX sort of era, just stuff that didn't really experience the same boom as like e-readers and gold stars and crystals and stuff like that. But, so you kind of got to pick and choose and decide which ones to sort of pursue, because obviously your money is finite and it's hard to pick winners and losers. So I would just say diversify, pick your shots, don't go crazy, buy over time. Like I had somebody talking to me at the show that when the market was really high, spent like all of their available cash on like one purchase, and then has been working on selling it for the past couple months and getting absolutely wrecked on selling it because they bought at the peak. And so even if you bought at 70 or 80%, well, if prices are, dipping 20 to 50% on some things, and then you're still going to have people haggle you and try to get another 10% or 15% off market price, yeah, you're going to get rinsed on it. You're going to lose money, and you're going to spend a lot of time and energy losing money, which is the absolute worst feeling. So, in like the investment world, you would call it like dollar cost averaging, like buying a little bit at different points, like once a week, once a month. And that way, over time, you will get a nice average and enjoy the long-term likely upward price trend, instead of trying to time the market and buy before the next boom, or trying to buy at the low or catch the next wave up. Like that's just a lot more risky if you're buying in big chunks and spending all your money in one drop at one particular point in the market. You're much more likely to be buying at the exact wrong time. Whereas if you buy a little bit over time, you kind of just get to insulate yourself from getting the timing incorrect. So that's something to watch out for. Even though the market is down, I would not be dropping all my cash on something right now thinking this is the bottom, because you don't know. Do I think it's the bottom? No. Do I think over the next 2 months we're guaranteed to get another big step up in prices or a return to highs? No, I don't know. I have no idea. And so that's why I think the slow drip approach, the slow accumulation, and just right now I bought a couple big vintage collections in the past month. But when it comes to card shows in general, I'm much more focused on trading at percentages right now than anything else, because I just feel like that's the best way to protect yourself from making a mistake. And this hobby's been like very full of gambling and risk taking for the past few years. And if in the past couple years, if you've been a gambler and a risk taker, it's been pretty good to you, probably. But over the long term, if you're trying to build an inventory and trying to stay in the hobby and in the vending space long term, you really shouldn't be focusing on the upside. You should be figuring out how to insulate yourself from the downside. So just things to think about. Yeah, I didn't even bring like booster boxes to the show this weekend because prices are way down on them, and I'd rather hold them. Vintage and binder singles sold really well for me this weekend, and they did pretty well at the show last weekend as well. Slabs didn't move barely at all this weekend, but they moved very well at the last show. Decent amount of sealed was moving this past weekend. Weekend before, though, it was moving a lot better. We're kind of just in a crazy time in the market. Every show's different. Every week is different. It's hard to know what's going to happen. And then add into the mix Ascended Heroes coming out in January. But the release schedule is crazy, and we're getting blister packs for the first month, ETBs in February, and then booster bundles in April. So I have a feeling that because we kind of like essentially we have like a delayed release of the next English set, I feel like that might play into people focusing on other things and getting out of the holidays could help. And then, just in a couple months from now, tax season happens. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of moving parts. And the other thing I guess to think about is right now, people like to liquidate at the end of the year. So that could, I don't know, that could play either way. I just think there's a lot of moving parts going on. And so if you're either too fearful or too confident, I don't know. I think you're playing a risky game. I would not be fire selling stuff right now. But I would also not be thinking that this is the bottom and buying everything in sight. I think it's a time to move cautiously and, just have some long-term perspective in mind, maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't have a ton else to say, guys. I don't know what 2026 is going to bring in the cardboard world. But, the next few sets, Mega so far as a block has been amazing. Truthfully, I think the arts have been incredible. The hype has been incredible. There's almost too much good new stuff that I think people are gonna want for a long time. It's almost like there's too much and people can't even take a break. But 30th anniversary is coming up. There's just a lot going on, and I think 2026 may return to a more normal trajectory for the market, as in, if you're holding sealed product, 5 to 10% increase in value per year on average, not doubling, not double MSRP on release. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if Pokemon can print to demand. There's a lot of factors that are unknowable at the moment. But stay the course. Insulate yourself from downside. Accumulate slowly. Cost average as best you can. Pick your spots as best you can. And buckle up, because I think, there's just a lot going on, and nobody can know it all. So do your best out there. And hopefully I'll see you guys at some shows next month. Foxwoods on the 10th and 11th, and Lee Outlet's Pokemon Outlet on the 17th and 18th. Yeah, other than that, thanks for watching, if you're watching, and talk to you guys soon. Peace.